Most cruise packing videos will tell you what to bring, but not necessarily tell you what to bring that you will actually use. Hi, I'm Nikita. I'm a cruise travel advisor with over 10 years of experience traveling by land and by sea. I approach packing for my Caribbean cruise by first thinking about everything it is that I feel like I need to bring. It all for me starts with what I'm carrying on the plane to take me from where I live to the actual location where I'll be boarding the ship. Now, I do fly in the day before, so I usually will stay, a day to 2 days prior. So I am thinking first about what is it that I need to carry with me to get on the plane. And that also shapes out my full, I would say, luggage that I'm going to be bringing for the Caribbean cruise. So I am a backpack person. I know some people really love tote bags. I love a backpack. And I have two examples that I'm going to show you. So my approach for packing for a Caribbean cruise is to pack only what I need. I do that, and I try to be as streamlined as possible. I do that by taking a backpack. I take a roller that I can carry on a plane. And sometimes if I need to, I will also check a bag as well. But that really is it. I don't carry more than that. Now, I know some people are tote people, like you may like tote bags. I'm a backpack person. So for me, this is one example of my backpack, and I have another one that I'll show you. I've owned this backpack probably now about 3 years. It's held up very well. And my criteria for a backpack is it has to have this luggage pass-through handle, because this is what I put over the actual roller luggage that I carry on the plane. So it has a lot of zipper compartments. It has a place in the back for you to have your laptop and also your tablet. I will leave a link to this bag. I actually got this bag on Amazon a few years ago. I have it in brown and also in black. The only thing that I say it doesn't really have that I have another bag that I'll show you is a compartment for you to put like your water bottle. But other than that, it has everything else that I really like. And it's pretty spacious. Although it's bigger, it's still a little compact. So that's one example. The second example is this bag. Now this bag is, hopefully I didn't mess up the mic. This bag is by Nomad Lane, and it is also, again, a backpack, but you can tell that it's actually much more compact because I'll hold them up together. You'll see that the brown bag is much bigger than the black bag. And I have been taking this bag more just because it is more compact, and it also does have on the side the ability to have a water bottle. And then it has just 2 zipper compartments, and it has one in the back where you can put your tablet and your laptop. So for me, and it also has the pass-through bar that I mentioned, like on the other, or pass-through for sleeve for luggage, to put over your rollerboard. So for me, that's what I have as far as how I approach it. Now, as I mentioned, I have a rollerboard as well that is very compact, and I also have a carry-on, a check bag that I also check sometimes as well, depending upon, how much I'm determining I'm bringing on a cruise. Now, if I'm going on a cruise for 3 days to 5 days, I usually can get away with just my backpack and a carry-on for the most part. If I'm going on a cruise for more than 5 days, I'm usually checking a bag just so that I can have more space and more options. But again, I try to practice compact as I can. Another thing that's a big criteria for me in packing for my Caribbean cruise and considering my approach is I also consider if something happens to my luggage. So I'm taking a plane. If I'm checking a bag, I want to make sure that I have clothes, a set of clothes that's with me. That is something, for example, my bag is delayed, it gets to my hotel late, or let's hope not, I actually am boarding the ship and something happens where my bag doesn't get to my room. I have an option for at least having another outfit that I can wear. So that's another consideration for me. I also do that as well because I do pack anything that I'm wearing to get on the ship the next day. I pack that in my carry-on luggage that I'm bringing with me on the plane. Then that way I don't have to worry about if I have a check bag, having to dig into that bag and move things around. Everything is already with me. I also include in that my medicines, my toiletry bag with any medicines or anything like that, so that if something were to happen, I have everything that I need that can get me at least through a couple of days until I can get my luggage back from whatever the situation might be. Other things that I make sure that I include in my in my bag and also my carry-on is actually one outfit because I mentioned that I'm traveling the day before. I'm staying at a hotel either 1 or 2 nights, most likely, and then that next day I board the ship. So I make sure that I carry at least one outfit with me physically on the plane because you just don't know what could happen to your luggage if you're checking luggage. I also make sure I bring my toiletry bag with me physically on the plane, and that is actually in my roll-on carry-on bag. So those are things that I make sure that I have. So that will also include any underclothes, pajamas, one set of what I need to make sure that if I'm staying at that hotel that night, that I don't have to go and dig into my actual larger bag to get things out to plan to board the ship the next day, as well as kind of just a safety precaution if something were to happen to my luggage. This also applies to boarding the actual ship because there are times where you will get your bags late, and if for some unforeseen circumstance something happens to your bag, you at least have your toiletries with you, your medications with you, some clothing with you, so you'll be a little bit more comfortable. So now we're going to talk about what I actually showed you was my backpack. I actually call this like my flight backpack. So what I usually do is in this bag or the other bag that I actually showed you is I have a small purse. And usually I have this one and I have a couple more as well, but this is just one example. I have a small purse, very small, that I usually put in here one small wallet with a couple of credit cards. 2 credit cards usually, and I also will bring a debit card. It's a debit card, and the credit cards usually are ones that don't have fees associated with them if you're using them out of the country. And I just do that just to keep things small. I also include in that wallet small bills for tipping, actual like cash for tipping. And that includes the porters, if I'm taking taxis or even when I'm actually in ports, a lot of the ports to actually take US dollars so I can give tips there if I need to. But what I do is I take this and I actually put it inside of my backpack because usually at the airport, you're only allowed to bring, like 2 pieces of actual, like one personal item and one, carry on board when you board the plane. So that's what I usually do just to make sure things are compact. And in my backpack as well, I have several other things that I actually place in here. So another thing that I actually have in my flight backpack is this kind of small pouch. And usually I will bring this when I'm traveling longer distances. So I would say, red eyes, overseas, things like that. Sometimes if I'm going on a cruise, it's going to be like a Mediterranean cruise or cruise like, across the Atlantic or something of that sort. Or just it takes a longer time to get to that destination. And inside of here, you'll notice, and I actually bought this off of Amazon as well. It's really small. It's really compact. And in here I have toothbrush. I have these ear pressure things that I've been using, and actually they've been very good. I'll put a link to these below as well. I got those off of Amazon. Toothbrush, toothpicks, hygiene types of things, and eye mask as well. This is my eye mask. It's very compact, and very comfortable. So this is kind of what I have with me in my backpack that I keep on the plane with me. And what I can usually do is I can take this out and put it in the seat pocket or somewhere near me so that I can leave my backpack underneath my seat or above my head if I have that option as well. So another thing that I actually include in my flight bag is the tech pouch. This is just one example of what I have. This also has a lot of pockets. It's not completely full right now, but you'll see. And in here I have my the 3-in-1 is what I call it. I do have Apple products, so I have my iPhone, my AirPods, and also my Apple Watch can all be charged from this. I have like this little thing that has like all these adapters, because sometimes on different airplanes, they have different USB types of outlets. This also is really good even on cruise ships or other, anywhere where you have a different type of a USB that's different than the type of phone or type of whatever electronic gadget you have. So I keep things like that in here. So really and truly anything that is, portable charger, anything like that, any kinds of cords, adapters, USB cables, I keep all that in here. Other things that I tend to keep in my travel backpack as well are things like of course, my passport. I usually keep that inside of the small purse that I showed you, where I have it in a secure location in my backpack. Also, anytime I travel documents, I usually have like a green folder that I just put all those things in. That also includes a copy of my passport, because if something were to happen to my passport, it's good to have a copy so that if you need to go and report it, you have proof that it was your passport. And it makes it easier to process it. Also, too, I include luggage tags. 'Cause usually, most cruise lines, not all of them, but the majority of them require you to have a luggage tag with a specific paper that they usually provide you that you have to print out. I bring those with me in my backpack. I don't attach it to the luggage that I'm going to be giving the porter when I'm actually at the cruise port on embarkation day or boarding day, until I'm leaving my hotel, usually, because there's no point in putting it on there early if something were to happen, or it breaks. So it's just no point in doing it. So those are other things also that I include in my flight backpack. Oh, I forgot to mention, I have a electronic copy of my travel insurance policy. I always keep that on my phone. I keep it, and also sometimes will bring a paper copy. I have a double-sided printer, so it doesn't usually result in a lot of paper, but I have that as a backup just in case you don't have mobile access, something happens to your phone. You have it, you have information. If you need to call for some reason, you can make that call. So I do that as well. So now let's talk about clothing, or, cruise clothing that you're going to be packing. My philosophy is, if I have to use a laundry or send clothes out for laundry, I will. And I'll do that because it just so that it balances how much I need to bring with me as far as packing. But usually what I'm bringing is 1 to 2 pairs of jeans, or 1 pair of jeans and 1 dressier pants. I'm bringing maybe 2 to 3 tops that are interchangeable. One that might be dressier, because depending upon the cruise line you're going on, there are some times where, there's dressier nights, or you just want to dress up, if that's your preference. I may bring 1 dress that is also dressier. And also too, I'll bring, because I do workout while I'm actually cruising as well. So I'll bring 2 workout outfits, that's top and bottom. Also 1 pair of sneakers and 2 pairs of socks. And what I do with those is I wash them. If I'm on a 5-day cruise, I will use it, wash it, hang it up. And then by the next day, next day and a half, it's dry. I just alternate to the second one. Then that way I don't have to bring a lot of wardrobe or a lot of clothing to work out. And again, if I need to, I will send stuff to get laundered, or I will go, if there's a laundrette on the ship, I will go and do that myself. I also bring 2 to 3 like pajama sets, depending upon your preference. It could be a nightgown or a pajama set. I also bring socks. I like the socks with the little rubber things on the bottom. I usually will wear them in the actual cruise ship, not a cruise ship, actually in my cabin, just so that I'm not walking around necessarily bare feet, because I don't have a preference for using slippers. Um, Other things, you want to just make sure you bring at least a couple of pairs of undergarment, maybe more. Again, you can wash if you need to, but just bring as much as you feel that's comfortable. I tend to bring 3 to 4, and I will wash. Same thing with brassieres, things of that sort, and then I will wash them and just hang them up so that they can dry. Other things to think about: make sure you bring 1 to 2 great pairs of comfortable walking shoes. I mentioned already sneakers. If you're a person that wears sandal, maybe 1 pair of sandals. You want to think about, all from the clothing standpoint, everything that can match. So I bring things that can be mixed and match. So I may bring things that will go with black shoes or brown shoes or some other kind of neutral color, just to make it easier for me to not have to bring a lot of clothing together. But I may also bring 1 pair of dressier sandals. And I typically also will wear the heaviest things when I'm traveling. So for instance, I will bring some kind of a shawl, some kind of a cardigan, because usually on the airplane, it's a lot colder. Same thing on the cruise ship, it can be colder. So I can take that and use that when I'm on the cruise ship. So if you pack in a way where you can have a lot of versatility, it helps you not to have to pack a whole lot of extra stuff. And also, I should mention that I did develop an ultimate cruise packing guide. So it's a guide and it also has it in a checklist. I'll leave the link to that down below as well if you want to download that and review it and take it. It has some tips in there, things that we're covering in this that I'm covering in this video today. But at the same time, it will also, in addition to what we talked about, what I'm talking about today, you actually have a checklist that you can use, time and time again when you're packing for your Caribbean cruise. So now we're going to talk about tech and entertainment. So this is one of my favorite categories. So one definitely thing you want to make sure you bring is your mobile phone. Most people will not forget their mobile phone, but you'd be surprised sometimes people do forget their mobile phone. So make sure you bring that. And not even just your phone, make sure you bring all accessories. If you don't have like a 3-in-1 that I showed you a little bit earlier in the video, a 3-in-1 charger, make sure you bring the charger that comes with your actual phone. So did you make sure you have what you need, while you're traveling and while you're on the cruise? Also, too, I'm going to look over here at my notes. A portable charger and a power bank. I think that's actually very important. You can use that in the airport. For some reason, if you're just walking around the ship, because some of these ships are bigger nowadays, so you could be walking around for quite a while. So it's always good to have a portable charger that you have kept that's 100% capacity, so you're keeping it charged. Non-surge protected power strip. This one I think is becoming less of a challenge on a lot of the newer cruise ships because they're making them with like so much power, sockets, and USB ports built into the room. However, I have a small one and I don't have it here. I have a small non-surge protected power adapter that I do bring, and it's still okay to bring because I know they changed some rules on a couple of cruise lines recently. That's still okay to bring on your cruise. So I would say if you feel like you're going to have a lot of tech or a lot of things you're going to have to plug in, I would say bring it. Get something that's small though, so that you're not taking up a lot of space, but you may not need it. And if you get on a couple of cruise ships and you realize you're really not using it, then you might want to just not even worry about using that in the future, packing it in the future. And that's something that I'm considering on my next cruise. I'm going to bring it, but after that, because I didn't use it the last time, I likely will not continue to bring it. So other things to consider too, if you are a reader of books, is to maybe bring an electronic reader, some type of electronic reading device that's out there so you don't have to bring bulkier books. That's one thing. Also to headphones or in-ear, over the ear headphones, or just headphones in general, or in the ear like Bluetooth headphones. That's also something to bring, definitely, because while you're on a cruise ship, you want to wear in the ear if you're going to be on the phone, so you're not, having things on speaker. Also airplane, everything related to that. A camera, I would say I do have camera on the list because I know some people some people like to use a physical camera versus just their smartphone. But honestly, if you are a person that our smartphones nowadays basically are really high-tech cameras. So I would say you don't have to bring a camera. But if you're a person, like I do YouTube videos, so for me, I have a smaller camera that I usually will bring. But honestly, a lot of times I'm doing things from my iPhone. So you don't need to bring a camera. But if there's certain situations like you're going to go on an excursion where you're going to be under the water, you're going to need some kind of and if you want to take recordings or pictures, you're going to need some kind of a particular camera like a GoPro that you can use underwater. And then I think the only other thing that I'll talk about in this tech and entertainment section is also then like a smartwatch as well. Many people nowadays have some sort of a smartwatch. Not everyone does, but just make sure, and I learned this lesson the hard way, make sure to bring the actual charging adapter that comes with your smartwatch. Because sometimes what I've noticed is that when you have the 3-in-1s, if they're not powered enough or there's like the cable that didn't come with it, it may not charge your watch. So have that as a backup in case something happens to like a 3-in-1, charging station that you might be using, instead of, not having it and then your watch running out of power and you're not going to be able to use it the rest of your cruise. So the next session, we're going to talk about what's in my toiletry bag and what you might want to consider to put in yours, or what I highly recommend. So this is a toiletry bag I typically bring. And this fits comfortably into my roll-on luggage. It actually is two-sided like this. It does have a flap that opens up like that. and you'll notice it has a good bit of storage in here. Now, what I typically include in here are things like any medications, prescription medications that I'm bringing, um, any over-the-counter medications, Aleve, Tylenol, ibuprofen, things of that sort. I have in here my, and I'll show it to you. I have a first aid kit as well that's in here. And in here it has like bandages, ointments, all kinds of things that are in here that in case, something happens. I have a travel toothbrush, razor. I also believe in bringing, oh, sorry. In here is, and it's small now, but I use solid shampoo and solid conditioner. So that's what's actually in this. And this little package is by Matador. It actually, I love it because you can just put things in here completely wet and it will not leak. Like I could take this and probably just drop it in my luggage. It would not leak at all. And it has this actual closure. I'll get it up closer. You can kind of see it and the material. This is really good. So anyway, I store a lot of stuff in here. And again, I'll include a complete list, that you can actually download, at the link that's below, that's in the description of this video. But other things you may want to also consider, just thinking about you're going on a cruise, and not even just for the cruise sake, is even for some excursions, is if you have a tendency to get, have motion sickness, you can get motion sickness not just on a cruise ship, but also in a van, on a bus. You could get motion sickness from doing water sports or different things in the water. Anything where there's motion, because I've seen people get sick before, it can happen. So you want to make sure, and again, check with your doctor or whomever else you need to check with. But you just want to make sure that you bring some sort of like motion sickness remedies. Like, they have the bands, they have the medication, they have the patches that go behind your ear. They have ginger chew. So bring something, just in case you run into a situation. Even if you're someone who has never gotten seasick before, you could get motion sickness and you just won't even realize when it might happen. So that's just something I always advise people to do, is to bring something to combat that in case it happens. So some other things that are inside of my bag as well that I'll go over. Cough drops, electrolyte packets. Now this is one, and actually I'll show you this. This is my liquids bag. So TSA has this 311 rule. So this is the 1 quart bag, and in here is supposed to be no liquid that's more than 3.4 ounces. So anything that's a liquid, that could be a cream, anything that's like of liquid form, gel form, you have to put in this kind of a bag. So in here I have Poo-Pourri, which are like bathroom deodorant sprays. You spray it in the toilet before you go, if you know what I'm talking about. And then I have like everything else that I kind of need. So this is all of the basically hair products, face products, moisturizers, deodorants, anything that I need is in this bag, in this 1 quart. And I will put this on the list below as well. Other things that as well that I bring, you want to make sure that you're bringing, I mentioned the solid shampoos and conditioners. Those are really good, but if you have a preference for a liquid, you can definitely get a smaller container, silicone container for your liquid shampoos. Sunscreens, aloe vera gel, tea tree oil. I use tea tree oil for a couple of reasons. One is it also helps me with bug bites. I've realized the last couple of years, because I also garden, I mix aloe vera gel and tea tree oil together, and then I put it on like any kind of irritation, bug bite, completely takes it away. But you can bring the tea tree oil in case you're going somewhere. You are going somewhere that's in the Caribbean, so it's more tropical, likelihood for more insects. And then also too, the aloe vera gel can help if you get some kind of a sunburn or something like that if you're out too long. So those two things are very beneficial. Also, Downy Wrinkle Release. I say Downy Wrinkle Release, but they have other versions that are out there. But that actually is really good, because on the cruise ship, you cannot have an iron in your room. You can usually ask for a steamer for some cruise lines. But the Downy Wrinkle Release, or Wrinkle Release itself, you spray it, you pull the actual garment, And within a couple of minutes, it usually straightens out. It might not be perfect, but it does a pretty good job. And also, too, how you pack. So I tend to roll my garments, and I use compression bags as well. That helps a lot with not having a lot of corners because you haven't folded it like in a square. So that's just another, I would say, tip that I'll give you as well. Another thing that I'll mention back to the TSA 311 rule is that one thing that I do recommend to my family and also to my clients, because I'm a travel advisor that focuses on cruise travel, but is for the airport, if you want to invest in TSA pre-check at a minimum, that will save you the headache of having to take this 1 quart bag out of your suitcase, your carry-on, and putting it in a separate bin. It also will save you the headache of not having to take your laptop or any kind of electronic equipment out, taking your shoes off. So if you want to invest, I would say invest at least in TSA pre-check. I do recommend people do clear as well. Lately though, I haven't. Lately though, sometimes the TSA pre-check line has been faster than the clear plus TSA pre-check, but in general, you get through quicker. So that's just another thought, something to consider that can get you through security quicker without having to have a whole lot of fuss and taking stuff out of the bags that you're sending through the actual security scanning. So now we're going to talk a little bit about some accessories and some just extra stuff that you might want to consider that I usually will bring. One is a reusable water bottle. These are a lifesaver, and this one is, I think, 24 ounces, and it's one of those, I think it's a Owala. But it's one of those that keeps things cold or keeps it warm, for several hours. I think up to 12 to 24 hours. 12 if it's warm, 24 if it's cold. But usually what I'll do when I'm on a cruise ship is I'll fill it up with some ice, just, maybe halfway, and then fill the rest of it with water before I am in for the night. And this is what I use, overnight. And just even walking around a cruise ship, you can get a smaller version of that, if you want something more convenient. Another thing that I tend to bring as well are collapsible bottles. So these are the ones that are like either silicone, or that material they can kind of roll up. Those are good for when you're going on port days or you're having some kind of excursion. They're not as heavy as those reusable bottles, but they take a good bit of water. I'll link a link below to a couple, or one that I actually have been using. Other things to consider too, that are kind of like accessory type things. You could consider some kind of a poncho, because you could be going somewhere. I mean, the Caribbean, it could rain 1 minute and not rain another. Or if you want an umbrella, they have these small travel size umbrellas. Also a dry bag. So this will help if you're going on like excursions where you could get wet or, muddy or something like that. And you just want to keep your stuff dry. Also 2 bags that you can take if you're going into the ocean or going into a pool and you don't want to leave your phone and whatever you brought with you, you want to keep it with you. They have like these kind of crossbody dry bags as well that you can put your phones and you can put different things in to keep it dry so it doesn't get wet. One that I really love and is a huge organizing benefit, I think even a lifesaver to a degree, are magnets. Now, I know there's been a little bit of controversy at times around should you bring magnets? Can you bring magnets? Is there going to be an issue bringing them on the plane? I have never had an issue bringing them with me. I do bring magnets. I do get the ones that have a heavier of capacity to hold things. So you just want to look at that when you're actually selecting them. And they work great. You can put, your bag on it. Also another thing you need to consider is some kind of a lanyard if you're going on a cruise line where you're not getting actual wristband. You can take this, hang your lanyard on it, so you don't forget and you can see it somewhere. Hats, bags, you can hang a whole lot. So it does help to make things more convenient, and more, I would say, to make your cabin more organized. Other things to think about as far as going out on like a cruise on a port day is like a small beach bag. I know I talked about a dry bag, but just a small beach bag if you want to put stuff in that. Also, too, you don't usually have to bring towels, but There is something that I actually did discover that works very well. These are kind of like these like rubber straps. You put the towel over the chair, and then you put the strap around it, and it holds it down. You could also use towel clips as well, chair clips as well. But this does work very well. And usually you can get like a pack of 4 or 5 of these for not much. The other thing that I do bring, and I bring them in singles, are like plastic storage bags, like, the 1 quart size or the 1 gallon size. Those are good for just holding stuff. So like, let's say like on Virgin Voyages, a lot of times you can go down, you can get snacks. You don't have anything to put it in, but if you have like a little baggie or something, you can put that in and take it back to your room. Or you just want to, like, if you have lotion or something and you're afraid that it's actually going to come out of the bottle and you want to pack it, you can put that in one of those little plastic bags, wrap it up, and it protects your clothing and your luggage. So they're very convenient. So I usually will bring like 3 or 4 of those. They take up no space. I bring couple quart sizes and also a couple gallon sizes with me. And I usually am using them. So they definitely serve a purpose. And again, they take up not much. They don't take up any space. And then 2 final things, or 2 other things. One is a lightweight laundry bag or collapsible laundry bag. Again, they're very thin. The collapsible ones, if it's a laundry bag, you can just fold it really thin as well. But the collapsible laundry bag or collapsible laundry storage, you put it in your cruise cabin, like in a corner. You can put all your dirty clothes there. It just keeps things organized. And then at the end of your cruise, you pack all your, your dirty clothes. Maybe you went and got it washed if you did. You pack it up if you need to take it, and then you just compress it packs kind of turns down, and it compresses, and you just put in your luggage and you take it home. So that is something that I didn't used to do, but I started doing, and I think it's a really good thing. It helps, again, to keep your cabin organized. Some of the cabins, of course, you have more space than others, but they're still not like living in your own house or your own bedroom or whatever. So it's not much space. So it helps just to keep it organized. And another thing that I'll mention, and this one is for those that actually do like to either go on excursions, like, some people do like the waterfall types of excursions, or going out into the ocean where it could be rockier, is to bring water shoes. That I think will help with, because you need to protect your feet. And some beach sand is different than others. And also some like ports and or some private islands that a lot of the cruise lines have, it can be more rockier. So it's just a good option to help protect your toes and help your feet, protect your feet. So, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I've created an ultimate Caribbean cruise packing guide that also includes a checklist with all the information that we reviewed the video today. And the checklist actually you can use it, you can print it and use it cruise after cruise after cruise. I'll continue to keep it updated as well. But you can get the link to that in the description down below. So please let me know if you have any questions. You can definitely put them in the comments line. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and happy cruising. Take care.